Hello everyone, my name is Ladio. Today we're going to be taking a look at the car I purchased a few months ago. It's a 2000 Mitsubishi Eclipse GT V6. Now this car originally came with some electrical problems. Came up with those rims. You can see it collected some rust during the few days of rain that we had here in New York. But let me swing back around to the passenger side. I'm going to start over here. See if you can see it. You might not be able to see it. All right. Okay, this car, I did some work on it. Now, if you take a closer look, let's see if I could get around to there. It is. See that little, let's see, where's the camera? Right in between the two center vents, right over the radio, there's a small digital voltmeter. I recently added that because the car originally had some problem that she would kill the battery overnight, despite that it was an original one. I did already some work, and I didn't film any of that, but originally it was marked in 12.4, but now that the lighting is on inside, we're gonna get to all of that while I installed this piece here. Plus I had done an installation of the radio, also worked on the AC and the heating, which I'm still working on that. Also there's some work that I did, and turn around because I'm gonna have to move the car from here. The car runs pretty good, as you can see. It's marking the true voltage 14.5 on startup, so she charges up the battery. Now the radio that I've always went with was the Alpine ID8-X 305S, which is this one. Pretty good looking radio, sounds excellent. Now the radio itself, I did notice during the wiring that, yeah, it did have wires. The car itself, it had wires for the speakers, but they weren't connected to anything. You had to actually run RCA cables to the power plant, which it comes stock with this car. The seat sitting right underneath the passenger side of the car, right underneath the seat. And the radio, actually, this is one of the best radios I've had. I tried different models. I tried Kenwoods, Pioneers, Sonys, and even some really cheap brands right off of eBay. Really, this is the best one right here. It provides good volume right through the entire range without dropping the bass, which, if you notice in your radio, if you actually raised it past halfway or go 3/4, you notice that the bass is dropping and everything else. So okay. Now originally when I purchased this car, the previous owner already had warned me that for some reason the car would kill the battery overnight. I replaced the battery myself, which I had one sitting in the house from a previous car that I had, and it was ridiculously just killing it. A friend of mine told me that during the evening hours the car lights would start flashing, so but yet he wouldn't hear the horns. And being that he wouldn't want to bother me at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, he just let it be, and found the following days he would tell me whenever he caught up to me. But yeah, he eventually did, and I realized that it was the alarm system that was killing it. Now I had to figure out why was the alarm killing it when there was nobody near the car. Even at times, I would, you know, for examples, there was one day I walked into a pharmacy, left it parked across the street, and as I'm at the cashier, the lights will start flashing, but there's nobody, no cars going by or anything. And then okay, I'm gonna pop the hood. Where is it? Then I started looking around. Maybe I might get lucky and find something that might actually call my attention. I realized that most of the alarm system in these cars, which actually they all do, they all need to have some kind of ground contact. I realized that the grounding of the car really wasn't that great. I redid some of the grounding here, as you can see, the 4 gauge, and ran another 4 gauge down here from the battery terminal. Originally, this battery belongs in a Volkswagen Jetta 2011, if I was correct, which I purchased it for that car. That car was also going through the same thing of killing the battery. But for this particular model, the Mitsubishi, the terminal is supposed to be on this side of the battery and not this side. So that's why you see this mounted here and not here. This is some of the installation that I did. All 4 gauge. This one is running 2, which is somewhat like a big 3 upgrade, but not exactly a big 3 because I'm not using 0 gauge in this setup. I was working on 2 or 3 things, trying to kill, you know, 2 or 3 birds with one stone, which actually I needed to, you know, upgrade my music at the same time. So I decided, let me just install some 4 gauge. It's the sky high wiring, which is OFC. As you can see here, we got a new concept fuse box right here with mini A&L fuses. I believe that these are 120s, and then I got another set in the back of 100s. Now this wire here, this is what we're going to be getting into, because really the way Mitsubishi made the car, there was really no way of me running wire from here, from up here, or let's say the battery, right to the back of the trunk where the amp would be. Remember, I'm doing an upgrade on the music. I installed 1 amp. It's a 1000 watt. It says it's a 1000, and it's sounding pretty good with the CVX12, that kicker that's sitting in the trunk. You can see here, there's no way of running a wire through here. I tried the grommet. There's a big grommet down here. Let's see if you can see it. This thing is the grommet right here. Actually, I tried poking through it, and it ends up right behind the heater core box, and there's no way for me to access that from the inside of the car. I didn't have no choice but to remove all these screws here. This is the side paneling on the driver's side. This one, this screw here, and this wire right here, this is the one that's running right to the amp. I had to actually run it right inside the panel itself, all the way back here, through here, which you cannot even see it, but it's behind this grommet, which this is another thing I got to work on. I haven't gotten around to that. The wire is running through here, inside, back here, in here also, right underneath the seats, going to the back. There's the amp, which I haven't finished out the wiring. That's, if you can see it, that's the box right there. I built the box myself, but we're gonna get into that later on. Now the wiring itself, as you can see, I'm not even finished with this as yet. This is a crunch. They put it down. It's a GPD 1000-4. That means it's a 4-channel. You could do a crossover down to and use it as a 2-channel or 3-channel, whichever way. But it's moving the CVX hook just fine. Now, now that I was done with some of that wiring for the power plant, I started discovering more problems with her. This is one of them. Now, as you can see, the trunk went up on her own. But yeah, it gave me a problem with. It seemed like Mitsubishi did not do a great job at spot welding the nuts that this bolt was screwed into. When I removed the original bolt from here, which is actually, this is the original one, but I switched it onto this new bottle. The nut fell behind the wall, right in between this wall and the frame wall. And eventually I did find the nut. It was right underneath the back seat, back here. I actually had to puncture a hole somewhere down here inside the wall. I had to Dremel out a hole or slice, so this way I could get a new nut in there so I could put the bottle. In another video I'll provide instructions on how to do that. Some of you viewers that have this particular model, you are going to run into that. The nut is just simply going to fall behind the wall itself. And a way to avoid that, you see this piece right here? This one actually screws onto the bottle itself. So if you ever run into that, which later on in another video I'm going to work on that. But this is the box. It's a little bit messy in my trunk. I'm still working on the car. This box itself is an MDF, 3/4 inch wood. And yeah, this thing weighs something like 40 pounds without the speaker because it has a labyrinth system. You can see the port right here, but inside the panel, the port is running along the wall. It's running like a snake type setup. So this way it traps the bass as it's being produced. The speaker itself, it runs to about right there. So yeah, this is why the speaker box is really heavy. It's not as the lightest ones, which this is another project that I have to work on to actually increase trunk space and try to stay with a good sound system. There's a power plant. The wire, this is, if I'm correct, this is 12 gauge. And all right, now okay, she's marking 14 volts. Now she just dropped 13.3, which recently, now that I've done that, the entire purpose of that little voltmeter there will indicate, will tell me, even if I was just walking by, I'll just take a peek inside the window and I'll see whether the battery is holding true. And it has, ever since I did all that wiring underneath the hood. Like I said, I'm not going to use 0 gauge because it's not really needed. This is one of the jobs I did here, and originally I was supposed to put two new concept blocks. This is one of them. The other one is sitting in the back where the power plant is at, which I didn't show it at the media moment. But yeah, this is one thing that I have to work on, this right here. I have left it just like that, just in case if I end up buying the original battery that belongs to this car, which the battery poles, the terminals are supposed to be here on this side. I left it like that for now. Oh, excuse me. And she runs good. She runs good. The AC system, I worked on it. I did flush. I flushed out The heater core, I did it several times. I flushed the engine out. What else? This is another thing I got to work on. The fan. This is not the best thing. They're so expensive. These the OEM fans. They're both on. I don't know why. The AC is not on right now. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you like the video, dislike the video. Stay tuned. I'm gonna be actually adding some more videos. I haven't done that recently because of all the rainy weather that we've been having here in New York and the snow and all that. But yeah, stay tuned. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, if you dislike it, please leave a comment down below. Thank you for watching, guys, and please subscribe. Okay, guys, please subscribe. Thank you.